one of my old signature pieces. We still all right, the audience? I'm gonna let y'all off the hook in a second. I had one that I promised to read here. It was very, very, very important to me. Okay. For those who don't know me, I am somebody told me and told some teachers that I was a motivational speaker. I don't consider myself a motivational speaker. I try to write from a place that's so deep and rooted in reality within me, and try to be so honest in my expression. And poetry is the way that I express myself. But I am a poetry coach, and I talk to students and kids, and they mostly want to hear rap. And I can't go into the schools with a lot of profanity, and the subject matter that a lot of rap music is concentrating on nowadays is very, very, very negative. So this is something that I was told by a few friends would work. It was a story of something that actually happened to me. So I'm going to take one sip and read it, and then I'll get out y'all hair. Okay. This is called Smells and Sounds. If there are any sensitive ears in the room, this would be the time to follow the noses or get that cell phone out. All right. First time I went to jail, my mind just started to wonder, was it the thunder and the lightning that made it so frightening, or was it really all in my head? People say prison wasn't the place for me, and I always agreed with that. As a matter of fact, I constantly strive to survive and be free for me and for my family. But now that the general population is requesting my presence, I follow the officer's suggestions and just be cool. Cool. At least until I got inside. Because I tried the whole ride to keep my anger inside, but the smells and the sounds started breaking me down. First time around with no idea what to expect. Should I fight to find respect? Would I find tonight would be the night I met death? I mean, there were poems I hadn't written yet. I hadn't even really started spitting yet. But to tell you the truth, my thoughts were far, far from poetry. Because behind bars were these criminals, and they immediately started to notice me, and slowly we ventured from desk to desk. Smells and sounds worse and worse. Worse and worse, breath to breath. Yes, I was terrified, but I couldn't show it. Because the moment they think that they know it, I got a problem on my hands. I mean, I'm not a big man, so I'm not a big fan of violence. And some of these people were loud and rowdy, but the killers were sitting in silence, and all the while it's not even sinking in that I'm not thinking in my right mind at all. I mean, I can't think of anybody to call at all. And I'm reminded I'm really not all that tall at all. And I'm by far the prettiest man standing on this whole wall. So I know at roll call, I can only hope all my walls don't fall down to the ground. So I found a spot in the corner just so the wall would have my back. Hundreds of inmates, hundreds of faces, all black, all packed in. Some fit in, some didn't. And then in the cell I'm in, I heard it begin. You know, the one guy walking around talking loud, asking, what you in here for? A couple of guys responded now and then, but I was trying to find a quiet way to get out of the situation I was in. And then I realized something strange. I didn't notice it immediately because nothing seemed to change, but somehow in a second the faces were rearranged and somebody different was now the center of attention. He was about the same height as me, but he weighed a whole lot less. He seemed like somebody who was used to stress, but then he said he was only 14 years old. Now the story he told involved him and his brother being sold to thugs by his mother for drugs. So he didn't grow up getting hugs, he grew up getting money. He found it funny that while other kids went to school, he was hustling, handling his business, and it was cool. He didn't have rules. Well, there was one. Don't say a word. It didn't matter what somebody heard. Don't say a word. So when the ATF kicked the door down that morning without warning, most of the soldiers were yawning, but he was quick with it. So he stashed all his $1,100 worth of crack in his crack. And they had yet to find out about that. And in his cell, less than 2 seconds after he said that, he was punched in the face, he was choked, he was held down by more than 4 men who kicked him in the stomach and his back when he started squirming. They held him off the ground with his neck and his shoulders pressed against the wall, pulling down his pants and underwear, punching him in his back, trying to get him to expose his crack so they could find the crack and smoke it all. More than one grown man using more than one grown hand and plenty fingers entering his kid's rectum to collect and select gray and brown and white rocks. And I got lost in the smells and the sounds as red and brown started blending into two things that used to be white socks. And the sniffling and the crying and the sobbing while these thugs were robbing this little soldier and them wiping feces from their fingers onto his face. and the way they took the crack from his crack, and they still gave it a taste. And as they smashed the rocks between these two quarters, my thoughts went quickly from myself to my daughter, and I wanted to get some water, but I was too scared to move, too sick to move, too absolutely outrageously afraid and out of my mind to say a single word or do a single thing. I was too repulsed to vomit. And when the guards came to investigate, nobody said a word. Quiet was all they heard. All of them and only one me. And I learned that there are some sights you can never unsee. Smells and sounds you still smell and still hear. That was one night. Imagine being in there for years. Thank you all very much. Please do support the bartender. Take care. Support the other arts. Thank you very much.